Coming up next week on the Computer Chronicles. This week on the Computer Chronicles, the battle of the browsers. We'll get up close and personal with the new Communicator 4.0 from Netscape. We'll show you the ins and outs of the Internet Explorer 4.0 from Microsoft. We'll see how they both handle audio and video streaming. We'll talk to some end users and to some web designers about what they like or dislike about the new browsers. And we'll talk with a senior technology editor to see if we can figure out once and for all who will win the battle of the browsers. Plus, my pick of the week, a very unusual program called Disc Tracy. You won't want to miss this comic strip. It's all coming up next on the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro One software, educational software for young adults, and by Z Auction, the live online shopping experience. Additional funding from PC Connection and Mac Connection, the catalog and online superstore with PC and Mac products, toll-free technical support, and overnight delivery. And by Windows Magazine, delivering desktop, enterprise, and internet computing news, reviews, features, and how-tos for a Windows world. Because the world runs on Windows.
Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee. Well, it all really started with Mosaic, the first graphical user interface for the Internet and the World Wide Web, and then there was Netscape Navigator, then Microsoft's Internet Explorer, and several versions later, it's now a battle between Netscape Communicator 4.0 and Internet Explorer 4.0. Which is the best browser for you? We're going to take a look at both and let you decide for yourself. Here to get us going is Mark Brown. Mark is the author of this brand new big fat book called Using Netscape Communicator 4. And I should mention, Mark, we asked somebody from Netscape to come here and demonstrate Communicator. They declined, so you very kindly offered to do it for them, having spent a year playing with it.
Glad to be here.
All right, let's start out and give us the sort of basic road tour introduction to what the new interface looks like in Communicator, what these new components are.
Well, Communicator is really a step ahead of Netscape Navigator. Navigator had email and newsgroup components to it. That was about it. Communicator is actually a whole suite. If we go up here to the menu, you see that Navigator is still in there. We also have the email and newsgroup programs, but there's an HTML editor.
Okay, you had Collabra up there, I saw, which is their sort of discussion group.
Right, that's their newsgroup program.
And what's the Page Composer?
Page Composer is their HTML editor, WYSIWYG editor. There's a conferencing application, there's a calendaring application, IBM Host, Netcaster, which is their push component. So
okay, so it really is a suite of a bunch of things. It's Navigator plus all these new things they've put in there.
It is. As a matter of fact, they even have a new control taskbar, which is docked right here. We can click on that, and that'll come up. This is like the Microsoft Office navigation taskbar. We can move to the various components of the program, or we can dock it back down in the corner where it's out of the way.
All right, so you've got Netscape's homepage up here, and just sort of let's play with it for a while and see how we would do something, browse the web here using it.
Well, this is a Communicator information page. Here they actually have a link to a comparison chart which compares the feature of Communicator to Internet Explorer 4.
From Netscape's point of view.
From Netscape's point of view, exactly. As a matter of fact, if we move forward...
So it's sort of a matrix, all the features, what each one has?
Right, and they also have, this page is a little interesting. This is their Setting the Record Straight page. And on this page, they actually go down through the points step by step that Microsoft makes on their page and attempt to refute them on a point-by-point basis.
So if you really want to get into the battle, you can get inside here and play the game of charges from one side to the other.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about using it. I mean, what are the new things that we didn't have in Navigator? Things like, you know, the use of dynamic HTML, JavaScript, and so on.
Exactly. There are a few little user interface points like these open-close tabs here, which let you get rid of the toolbars temporarily if you don't want them hanging around. Also, like you say, dynamic HTML is a big element. In fact, if we click over here to Netscape's homepage, page. They've used quite a bit of dynamic HTML in the creation of this home page. They have a little news ticker here from ABC News. This is a floatable menu which can also be docked.
Now, all the stuff on the left there, this is kind of new now, right? This is sort of an Explorer kind of look, isn't it?
It is a little bit. They've actually implemented this menu, though, in the web page itself rather than in the browser.
Yeah.
We can expand and contract these menus, and we can even pop the whole thing out of the way and just leave nothing but a tab.
All right, we don't have a lot of time to do all those. Mark, just briefly, what do you really like about what they've done with Communicator?
I like the integration. I like all the different components, the way that they work together. They're easily accessible from one another. The dynamic HTML implementation, I think, is very smooth, very good. Of course, Microsoft has chosen a slightly different implementation, but they look and feel the same to the end user.
Mark, thank you very much. Now, in this corner, the challenger, Microsoft's Internet Explorer 4.0. Is it better than Communicator? Is it the same? Is it really any different? Let's find out. And here to show us the new version of Explorer is Jay Goldstein of Microsoft. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Stuart.
All right, let's get right to it and focus on what's new about the new version of Explorer and get into the interface and the basics of web browsing.
Okay, Internet Explorer 4 is designed to give you the web the way you want it. We wanted to make things easier for people. One of the ways we've done this in search, which people find difficult right now.
Okay.
So I'm going to click on the search button in the browser.
All right, so if I want to do a search, I've got a search button now built into the browser.
Exactly. You'll see this left side frame opens up, and you can pick from any of the top search engines that are out there. It randomly generates, and this time it happened to come to Alta Vista. And I'm going to do a search, let's say, on travel, something a lot of people are interested in.
Okay.
So I'll click Submit, and what happens is you'll get the results here on this left side pane. Then you can choose from there which one you want to go to. So let's just try the first one, which is something here called Ego Travel. And I'll click on that, and you'll see it shows up on the right side. And
All right, now, what was the little window opened up immediately?
That's something called a tooltip. And what happens is the the websites actually provide some information about themselves, and you can get that information before you click and try and download the page.
Okay.
So now if you want to check out this page, you can just click back off the search button and check it like a regular web page. And if you say, gee, this is a good site, but not exactly what I'm looking for, click back on the search button. Your results are still here, and now you can go to some other site. Rather than having to worry about going back and forth and downloading those pages.
Okay.
Now, this is something that we call an Explorer bar, and we've extended this into a lot of other features. One is called History, which keeps track of all the different sites that you've been to over days or weeks or months, however you want to set that up. And that way, when you try and go back to a site that maybe you've been to a couple weeks ago, don't remember the name of it, but you know that you want to get there.
So I can really set it up for a month's worth of web movement.
That's right,
Okay.
if you want to do that. We also have extended this to favorites, so when people want to find the favorite sites they want to go to, it's easy for them to get there. Now you can also check out favorites from the menu, which is something that people might prefer because it's traditional. Now we've extended a couple of great features here. One is drag and drop, just like in Win95.
Right.
So I check out Disney here, maybe I want to put this top of my list, I can just drag it and there it goes. Another great feature that we have in favorites is that you can now get information a lot faster on your favorites. For instance, people tend to go back to their sites over and over, and that's the whole point of favorites. But they want to be able to check out those sites only when there's new information. So what we have now is you can set up your page to download this information. It goes out, checks the site, and there's a little gleam
just
there.
tells you if something is new.
Exactly.
That's a cool feature. Let's go into email because I want to make sure we cover all the points. What's different about the email here?
Well, email is totally new in Internet Explorer 4, and this is an email program called Outlook Express. You can send web pages to people directly from the internet. So here I'm on a page, I'm going to click on Send Page. An email message will open up with that web page in it. And there are links in there, and when people get that web page in email, you can connect directly to the net.
Okay.
And so you can just send this to whoever you want.
You got something cool called stationaries here, too.
That's right. Stationery allows you to send really rich interactive mail. So I'm going to click here on a holiday letter. Getting close to Christmas time, you might want to send Christmas cards. Now you can do it in email because we provide that technology. And as you can see very quickly, Outlook Express is designed to be very elegant, very easy to view. We have something here called the Preview Pane. The Preview Pane allows you to see those mail messages before you open them up to decide if you want to see it. It's here if someone sends you a web page, as well it also works with text-based messages.
All right, next thing I want you to show me is the channels idea here.
You got it. So we'll click here on the channels button. You'll see we extended the Explorer bar metaphor here as well. And what the idea of channels is that you can have a really rich, dynamic experience on the internet. There are thousands of channels that are available, and we've shipped with 35 of the top websites.
All right, so that's a predetermined collection of stuff in different topic areas.
It is predetermined, but you can customize it so you can add or subtract anyone that you want.
So let's go to a channel. What would that look like?
Sure. Well, we've launched with lots of great ones like Wall Street Journal, New York Times. And I'll show you the Warner Brothers one because they've actually done a very nice job here. So I'm going to click on the channels button so you can come onto the full screen. And you'll see the information will now load, and you'll see this really rich information that they provide. And in fact, we have something called a full screen feature. I'll click on that, and it lets the entire web screen be taken over by the channel.
All right, so again, lots more multimedia emphasis, a richer kind of user experience here.
Exactly. And here's some of the fun that Warner Brothers has on their site. You'll see as I drag my mouse over these things.
So we don't have time to watch the whole cartoon. Okay. Very well done. Thank you, Jay.
Okay.
All right. Well, so far we've heard from two experts on the two different browsers. Next, we thought we would talk to two big-time net users to see what they like or dislike about each of the new browsers from Netscape and Microsoft.
Megan Conran is a senior at Stanford University. She has barely enough time in the day to complete her coursework, prepare for exams, and apply to law school. But Megan has an assistant to remind her of when to file papers and how to prepare for exams. It comes to her through the Kaplan Educational Center's website using Microsoft push channels.
You know, I'm really busy writing my thesis, taking, midterms, working my job here, so that I don't have time to go to the library and sit down in front of a computer for hours just going through all the different web pages. It's so nice to have information that's tailored to me available at the push of a button.
The Kaplan Edge provides Megan with several categories of information that is specific to law schools. Kaplan decided to use Microsoft's Internet Explorer instead of Netscape because of the browser's push channels and its interactive abilities.
One great thing that Internet Explorer offers is some terrific linkages with some other Windows technology. So there's great visual transitions you can do. They have a connection with their agent technology for speech, and we've been able to use these to make a very lively looking, beautiful channel. And in particular, we've implemented flashcards, which can appear on your screen, and they can even be spoken by one of the agent characters.
The word is great. It means to scroll partially.
While Kaplan is an active channel partner with Microsoft, the company plans to offer Netscape communicator channels as well. Mac Addict magazine is another company trying to balance their own browser preference with their customers' demands. Mac Addict chose Netscape for their Mac website.
Primarily, it's performance, and that sounds a little weird when you're sitting on a T1 line, but it's still, if you can get a 5-second difference in, in the speed of rendering a page between one browser and another, it makes a definite improvement in your quality of life. My browser of choice actually is Netscape Navigator 3.
Mac Addict has a special interest in Netscape's cross-platform abilities and some reservations about an Explorer programming feature called ActiveX.
You point to an ActiveX control which has been compiled for a specific processor, whether it's Pentium or PowerPC, and there is no provision to divert you to a different executable depending on your platform. So if somebody puts an ActiveX control in their web page, odds massively, 90%, is that they're going to link to the Windows version of that. And if you as a Mac user come along, you see nothing. It's just a sort of real thumb in the eye. You are not dominant. You do not have market share.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Sarah O'Brien.
Well, no matter which browser you end up using, you're still going to have to deal with multimedia issues and audio or video streaming. How do these two browsers handle streaming? To find the answer to that question, we've invited Philip Rosedale of Real Networks to join us. And you guys, of course, do real audio and real video and so on. Is it any easier to do this darn streaming stuff with IE4 and with Communicator 4?
I'd say, in short, the one thing that is easier about it is that we're always trying to find new ways to get our players out to people, so you have the player that you need to watch streaming media. If you get the new IE4 browser now, you actually get our player as a part of that browser.
So I don't have to separately pull that plugin down.
That's correct. So that is one thing that's easier.
Now, is that true with Communicator or not?
It's not currently true with Communicator. We aren't we have a bundle with Internet Explorer that puts us in that installer.
Right.
We don't have the same arrangement.
So at the moment, if I need to do real audio or real video stuff, it is in fact easier to do it in Explorer?
Well, I would say that if you download Explorer, you get it, but of course the behavior of streaming media in the browsers is basically the same. We work very hard to make it the same.
Well, that's what I want to look at. You've got your page up here. And let's take a look. First of all, how good are we now? You've got 5.0 of real audio and video out there. Let's show us what the streaming looks like in terms of looking at some audio and video.
Well, one of the fun things with 5.0 that I'll show you here is we're able to now do animation, which is a good way at 28.8 modem speeds to do a level of playback quality that you just can't get with video.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
So let's take a look at
one of these. We're going to look at Looney Tunes here from Warner Brothers.
So we're actually dialed in on a 28.8 modem right now, so it's all very, very real.
So a kid could go online now and watch a cartoon in the same way the kid might have watched the cartoon on the TV station.
Well, you can judge for yourself.
All right, so this is all Bugs and Looney Tunes. You're actually doing a little trick here, right? Because the file is still loading.
Some of them, yeah, we get a chance to load some of the character data and stuff.
So get a little piece up there, keep the kid busy, and then while you're loading the rest of the file.
But basically, you can do.
All right, so again, this is, you know, pretty good quality cartoon animation stuff.
Yeah, and compared to what you can do with video, if you try to take this same cartoon and just compress it as real video, it wouldn't look as good at 28.8. But this is a way, if you want to do the authoring, to do something really amazing for 28.8 modems.
To take the animation approach rather than the video approach.
Exactly. Of course, we support both. Real Video came out earlier this year, but Real Flash, which is this is actually a product that we made in conjunction with Macromedia, using technology that most people have experienced on websites, Flash, and combining it with real audio, synchronizing it, and creating something
All
like
right,
this.
let's go back, and there was another clip that is a little more video-ish, if we will. That's that Gattaca clip you have up there. So let's kind of run that one and see what that would look like. And again, we're in which browser right now?
We're actually in Netscape right now.
We're in Netscape at the moment.
In Communicator 4. I'm going to jump now just to our player. Of course, with our technology, you can also just watch media in the player itself, which is actually the way we started.
Right.
So this is a movie trailer that's the same technology. It's the same animation technology. But it looks kind of different. It has a sort of a different flavor.
All right, it's a little more video. Real TV is looking here.
Right.
And again, this is a file we would have downloaded earlier, and you're just playing it back inside the real
and this is something that in 10 seconds starts up streaming and then can play for 10 minutes if you like.
All right, so Philip, quickly, does it matter from my point of view as an end user whether I'm looking at your streaming stuff in Explorer or Communicator?
It really doesn't matter as an end user. We work very hard to make sure that regardless of what system you're coming in on, you have the same experience.
Quickly, does it matter as a designer which environment I'm developing in?
It does not matter. There is a different paradigm for building web pages, though. The Internet Explorer uses ActiveX as the technology that you use to embed things into pages, and Netscape, on the other hand, uses plug-in technology. As an author, you have to essentially write little segments of your pages for both.
But the end result would be the same.
The end result looks the same to the user.
All right, thank you, Philip. Well, there are two sides to a browser, the client side and the server side. And so far, we've been focusing on the client or end user's perspective. But what do web designers think about Communicator and Explorer? We visited one big web design company to find out.
Construct is a web design company in San Francisco that promotes functional design, from simple flat interfaces to three-dimensional worlds. The company has worked with both Netscape and Microsoft.
Browsers are our publishing medium, as it were. They're our machine. So when other people write to a piece to Win95 or to Macintosh, we write to a browser.
Construct has built active Lively web pages for Travelocity's airline booking service and Netscape's Channel Finder. The animated features of both came from a recent advance in web programming called Dynamic HTML.
I personally think that Dynamic HTML is a very fundamental difference from what you've seen before. And a lot of that's due to the competition between Microsoft and Netscape, a lot of the movement there. Specifically, you can build real applications now on the internet, whereas before the metaphor was pages and more magazine content. Now the metaphor for us is applications and application design.
But the benefits of competition between Netscape and Microsoft are tempered by the two browsers' incompatibilities.
If you are writing a channel or an interface for Dynamic HTML under Microsoft's browser, you're going to have a lot of difficulty making that same interface work under Netscape's browser.
Construct chose to get around the problem by creating two versions of each site to offer features specific to each browser. Their design for Microsoft's VRML site, for example, makes use of Internet Explorer's integrated 3D browser. It is an example of designing the interface around the content.
The content has a better interface, and so it's more accessible to the user in a way that it hasn't been before. So now instead of scrolling through a long story to get to the bottom of that one piece of information you wanted, now you can say, I'm only interested in the information that's relevant to me.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Sarah O'Brien.
Well, made up your mind yet? No? Okay, let's try to break the tie. Here to help us do that is Amy Helen Johnson, Senior Technology Editor with Windows Magazine. Sort of bottom line question, are there any real significant differences from a user's point of view between working in Explorer, working in Communicator?
I wouldn't say they're significant. They're small differences that have more to do with how you prefer to work on the internet.
All right, let's talk about one at a time. I'm browsing the web.
Not much. Not much different.
I'm doing email.
No, not much different.
So what's different?
Well, it comes down to things like the subscription and the channel capabilities, and also in their conferencing capabilities.
And what's the difference?
Well, a Netscape conference does not accept video cameras. NetMeeting, however, if you want to see your grandkids or see your things, then you'll have to be using that.
That's a big plus for Explorer if you want to do video. Okay, any others?
Well, if you come down to the push, it has more to do actually on the implementation on the server side.
So it's really the server designer side in which it's different, not so much the end user?
Well, what you have to make sure is that if there is a channel that you want, you have to be using the browser that will allow you to see that channel.
So it's still kind of complicated.
All
right, let's take a look at the two of them here. We've got Explorer up over here and Communicator about to be up over there. Let's talk about Communicator first. What do you most like, let's say, about Communicator?
What I most like about Communicator is that it's easy to configure and it's very configurable. For example, let me show you user profiles. What this allows you to do is to set up different kind of identities. Now, this could be for a family, to have different members of the family, or for example, if you have different roles at work, you can set up different roles.
All right, so if at home we have one PC and one browser, but several different people who access the net, as you've shown here, you have your profile, I have my profile, and what would the differences be? What kinds of things can we set up under those preferences?
Your bookmarks would be different, your mail preferences would be different, how your screen looks would be different.
So that's a nice feature, obviously.
Yes.
All right, let's go over here, if we can, to Explorer for a second. And what would you say you most like about the Explorer environment?
What I really like about the Explorer environment is that Microsoft added in this left-handed pane. And what this allows you to do is it's kind of mimicking the Windows Explorer, where you saw on the left side some of the things that you know, sort of your hierarchy, and then the contents would go into left. Yeah, so for example, if I want to switch over, I can see what's underneath this folder, and then I can just very easily switch, and it'll show up on the right-hand side.
Nice, yeah. Okay, bottom line here, from the multimedia point of view, let me ask you that question first. Is there a difference? We talked about that just a bit before.
I would have to agree that there's really not much difference on a multimedia point of view.
What is your, I'm going to put you on the spot now. What browser do you use, Senior Technology Editor?
Well, I use all of them. That's
come
the
on,
big
give me
thing.
the true answer.
In my personal use, Navigator 3.
Because?
Because
Navigator 3.
Navigator 3. Because it works fast.
All right, so it depends on what you want to do. If you want to browse and search and get information quickly, and you don't want all the multimedia junk. No. You would pick Navigator 3.
And actually, I surf with images off. I just want to get in there, get my information, and get out.
Yeah. So would you say, bottom line, it really depends on how you want to use the web. If you want to do the multimedia, have it all look, fancy, then maybe you need one of the new ones anyhow. But if you just want to get information out there, you're quite happy with Navigator 3.
Yes, I am.
But the world is that with Win98 coming and IE4, it's all going to be very tightly bundled, right?
Yes, it is. They plan to put the browser interface that you see onto Windows 98, and so it would behoove you to get to be familiar with it. Yeah.
All right, thanks very much. Well, that's our look at the browser wars. I'll be back in just a moment with my pick of the week. Now for my pick of the week. I'm a little bit hesitant to recommend this program because it is basically a spy program. It lets parents spy on their kids, employers spy on their employees, but it is a new and innovative approach to censoring or filtering net content. The program is called Disk Tracy, and what it does is snoop onto your hard drive and find questionable files, both text and graphics, to see if there's any bad stuff there. You can set it up to look for files that deal with sex, drugs, violence, illegality, hacking. So I tried this program, and it turns out to be one of the funniest pieces of software I've ever seen. I spied on my own hard drive to see if I had been a bad boy. Well, I sure have been. Look at what this program found. First of all, suspicious file, red alert on a README file involved in the Windows installation of your graphics card because it found one of the options was a Diamond Stealth card. I guess I'm involved maybe in a teenage gang of stealing diamonds, I don't know. It didn't really like this particular graphic over here, which is the basic Windows startup graphic. Maybe if you're Freudian, that little cloud shape could have been a naked woman. Or it does use the phrase turning on my computer, which could be a sex or drug reference. It didn't like a file with the title drag drop, maybe a little S&M activity or wearing funny clothes. It didn't like a size win, task switch, maybe some double entendres there. My favorite is it really was unhappy with this bitmap file, which is the Toshiba logo. This happens to be a Toshiba laptop. I guess it's because the name of the file is Tosh Logo. Could have been Tush Logo. Maybe I have a wallpaper that I've downloaded that has a naked rear end on it. I don't know what it didn't like. Anyhow, if that weren't enough, the program crashed each time I tried to use it. It takes forever to scan even my relatively small hard drive, and of course it's useless because all it checks is what Johnny has downloaded. He can look at all the naked girls he wants, just don't dump them onto your hard drive, stupid. I'm sure the people who made this program were well-intentioned, for as they say in their promotional materials, there are some problems with bad things on the net. But this program really proves the futility of trying to censor internet or hard drive content with the broad sweep of a keyword detective. It's called Disk Tracy from Wattsoft Incorporated of Houston, Texas. Their website is disktracy.com. Maybe they should have kept the original name, but then again, the product wouldn't have made it through its own filter. That's it for this edition of the Computer Chronicles. We'll be back here again next week with more of the latest in computer and internet technology. I'm Stuart Chaffee. Hope we'll see you here next time.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro1 software, educational software for young adults, and by Z Auction, the live online shopping experience. Additional funding from PC Connection and Mac Connection, the catalog and online superstore with PC and Mac products, toll-free technical support, and overnight delivery. And by Windows Magazine, delivering desktop, enterprise, and internet computing news, reviews, features, and how-tos for a Windows world, because the world runs on Windows. To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.
Next week on the Computer Chronicles, our annual Consumers Buying Guide show, the best new computer and high-tech products we can find. We'll show you the totally techie world of young Dilbert, the much-awaited Riven, a new game from Myst creators Rand and Robin Miller, the Geo Fox and Scion Series 5 handheld computers, the fantastic new Atlas Sphere from Odyssey, a new digital camera that records on a floppy, plus the Nokia 9000 communicator that does it all. A great new artificial intelligence game called Galapagos, Critter, a new video cam for the Mac, this cool new mini notebook computer from Mitsubishi, plus much, much more. It's all coming up next week on the Computer Chronicles.